All right. So one of the things I want to do today is I want to start. First, I want to say thank you. Hello, welcome. Welcome to the Biz Buzz Show. And today we're going to talk about newsletters, but I wanted to start off with a little bit of an update on someone who was on last week, which was Christy. And she's a photographer, a lifestyle photographer, commercial photographer. And she's the one who shared that she is currently doing a lot of reaching out to clients, and she is making masks. So she's sewing masks. Her daughter is helping cut the elastic. And I just wanted to share a picture because she sent those out last week. And this week she is starting to get some really nice. Okay, so you might remember, this is Christy. She's making these masks. So last night she got this really cool message from a client. So, he loves his mask, loved that she was thinking about him, and he's going to use it to deliver his grandmother's groceries. So I just wanted you to see that this has nothing to do with her being a photographer, but it is about her being his photographer. And this is one of those moments of delight. He didn't expect a mask from her, I'm sure, ever. And she's just sending really good vibes to people. So
that was one of the things I wanted to share with you, is just a quick update. These kinds of things actually do come back to you. So today, what I want to talk to you about is newsletters. But one thing that is for sure is your ideal customer is currently experiencing the same things you are, which we talked about last week. And they are looking for some diversion, frankly. And we also talked about, business as usual is okay, but it has to be sensitive. It has to be relevant. The really important thing right now is we're all craving connection. We're only, like, for most of us in my area, we're only on like week 2 of this. And, we're checking our email, and this is true across the country, probably more so in the East and the West, checking email constantly, because now we don't have people showing up in our offices. Now we don't have meetings scheduled where we have to go somewhere. So we have the gift of time, but that's also can make things feel like you want a break, you need something. So we're always looking to see, I am anyway, I'll talk about me. I'm always looking to see what's in my inbox. I'm really looking for news about life somewhere else. Okay. So this is also a time for you to step up and be a leader. And I say that in the sense that you should probably push yourself to the point of feeling uncomfortable in your comfort zone. You should be out of it a little, because sending more than one email a month is a must. And I would encourage you to go to 2, and then, take the training wheels off and go to like once every week. But this is a time when people want you to communicate. They are seeking some kind of connection, and they are concerned. Some of them are concerned if whether you're still in business or whether your family is well. So they want to hear from you. But the messages have to be sensitive. So that's the reason why I say right now is the perfect time. It's also one of the least expensive, most return on investment. So you get the most bang for your buck by sending out email marketing. And I call it email marketing because a newsletter definitely falls into that, but there is a difference between an email marketing campaign that is for a promotion and something that you're sending on a regular basis to your clients. If you don't want to call it a newsletter, that's cool. I know some people are like, I don't want to do that. Awesome. Send your clients, your customers, a weekly note. You can call it whatever you'd like to call it, but you want to focus on writing for one person. You are not broadcasting, something on the news about, a 5-car pileup. It should feel personal. It should feel like you're writing to the very best customer you have. And one of the things that will help you to avoid generalism and also help you to avoid the curse of knowledge. And that curse of knowledge, I call that when you start using industry terms, when you start using jargon and buzzwords that are related to your industry, that really your ideal customer is coming to you because they are not an expert in that. So you using that language with them will alienate them and also bore them, because they don't understand why you're so excited about this, AI. Before I knew what AI was, people were saying AI to me all the time, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, oh, artificial intelligence. And I'm like, I still don't know what that is. What does that mean? So you have to speak to your ideal client the way you would speak to someone who is a friend. And Anne Handley, who is like I have a huge crush on, because she's like an amazing writer and an amazing marketer. She has some really great ideas about how to do it in a way that is authentic and feels right for your business. And she actually has an example she always. So of all the people in the world, you probably not expect to get something from Warren Buffett that is personable. And I mean, I wouldn't, I don't know him. But apparently, when he started writing an annual letter to all of his investors, he decided that he was going to write to his sister, Doris. And Doris is an investor, but she's not an expert. She doesn't understand what's going on. She wants to understand what's going on, but she doesn't know the industry terms. So he started writing it so that so that Doris would understand. And none of this, I really, really want you to know, none of this is about talking down to anyone. This is about explaining it in a way, or using words that are common that we all know, or explaining it with an analogy, with an example, like this is like this, that's what the market's doing. So, write for Doris. I always write my newsletter for one particular person. I even start it with dear and write their name, or hey and write their name, because it helps me as I'm moving through it to have a sort of a touch point. So if I write something and then I look back up and it says, dear Jonathan, and I'm writing about something that I think Jonathan's going to go, who cares? I'm going to write it either in a different way because it's important, so that I know, show him why he should care or he needs to know this, or I'm going to go, you know what, that's just crap I'm really excited about because I'm a marketing geek. So that will help you with what content to use, what language to use, and it makes it so much easier. And your newsletters are going to feel very personal. Even though you're writing with that one person in mind, it is going to feel like a letter to you it will feel like a letter to somebody else. It's going to feel personal to them. So I think you get where I'm going. All right. So in terms of what you should put in there, and I want to talk a little more about what goes into a newsletter versus the technicalities of templates and email service providers, which I will be happy to talk about. But really the place to start, and if this is you starting the first time you're going to do this, or if this is you restarting, I want you to be thinking about the content and what is right for you. So there's so many great ways to do this. And I'm actually going to introduce somebody right now who is a former client and a current friend. And he has really taken this and made it his own. And so Jonathan, I wondered if you would join us on the screen.
Hello.
Yes, there you are. So everyone, this is Jonathan Hantz. Jonathan, tell us a little bit about what you do.
I am a voiceover talent. First of all, thank you, Melinda, for having me on this. This is it's kind of cool to see this new thing unfolding for you. You know,
Yeah,
and it's weird. It's like we were saying the other day. It's like we're on TV right now. Not really, but kind of.
I
It
know.
feels like that. And I do voiceovers. And what that means is that I'm the voice of commercials or web videos or e-learning or video games. I'm on several radio stations across the country. And I've been doing that for about 14 years. And yeah, so that's my main thing. I have other little creative endeavors that I also pursue, but voiceover is my main gig.
Talk to me a little bit about what were your reservations about doing a newsletter?
I had the reservations, first of all, like you say, the term itself seems outdated.
Mm.
We probably, as a marketers or whatever, could come up with something that's different, but it just seemed fussy and sort of Web 1.0 to me. I also feel like the newsletters that I typically got, if I read them, were not really of interest to me. So I just didn't want to be that guy. I just didn't want to be sending out something that felt kind of clunky and lame.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a good reason. I think a lot of us are worried about feeling spammy, feeling icky, intruding on people.
Oh,
Yeah. And what have you found with the email marketing that you've been doing? So I know you have a couple of names for yours. It's not a newsletter,
yeah.
but
Well, I haven't figured that out yet. I mean, you know, there was just a lot of things that I had to kind of get over in my mind, my hangups. And ultimately, I think that the baseline goal for anyone doing this is putting themselves out there, and putting yourself out there feels uncomfortable the first few times because it's new, and
oh yeah.
new things can be tricky, and especially if you're using video like you are and I am. I mean, yeah, so all those things can feel uncomfortable, but one of the goals is to push through that and find your rhythm in any endeavor that you're taking on as a new one. The first few efforts are gonna have rough edges, and that's okay. Because ultimately, and I say this, you know, I say this in a neutral way, not in a cutting or snarky way, people do not care that much. So as, you know what I mean? They don't care that much. We all get in our own
Nope.
head and place ourselves at the center of the universe, and we're just not there. So what I ultimately came to peace with is that if my email comes out and the average person just sees in their inbox Jonathan Honst voiceovers, that's a win. A friend of mine said to me, now this is a guy that occasionally does engage with my emails, but he's already a sort of a friend, colleague, and kind of tier one client. So he says when he's seen my emails, he says, oh, that's just Jonathan over there doing his marketing thing. And I mean, that's funny, but it's also like, okay, that's a win. I mean, that's a win more than not sending out anything. But then when you get into the people that open the email, that click on links, that read it or whatever, that's where I've come to with it, is that's the gravy and that's the fun. And I view what I send out as another chance for creative expression for me, which is my jam. I mean, if I can do something creative every day, then that's a good day for me. So I no longer look at my MailChimp stuff as, oh, I hope I don't bother anyone with this. It's like I'm sending out something, you know, I really am sending it out with love and with humor and with sincerity. And, you know, you're rarely going to see, oh, there we go. You're rarely going to see, other than the logo at the top, Jonathan Honst voiceovers, and me being in the booth, which is that right there, and me holding up my Jeff Spicoli record. We can get into that later. But, you know, it's not about me talking about voiceover. That was another thing. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything really wrong with that or wrong with, I think that every person is going to have to find their own way of doing something.
Oh, yeah.
one of my hangups was, or one of my picadillos was in other people's newsletters or messaging was what I call, look at me, here's what I've done. And you know, there's a place for that. I mean, I just put something on LinkedIn yesterday that was about a project that I completed that I'm proud of. And there's certain things that you kind of just do because it's best practice, right? Like, well, yeah, you should talk
Sure.
about that high profile project you just did. But for
Mhm.
me, you helped me so much with writing a letter as though it's going to a single person and just making it straightforward. So I talk about my art, which is one of those separate creative endeavors I do. I make playlists on Spotify every month. I do that because I like it. You know what I mean? It's fun for me. So I just share that stuff, and that's the cherry on top of me just saying, hey, Jonathan On's voiceovers, remember me? Boom. And then all that other stuff is I'm just sharing what I would with a friend.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And what I loved was you found the thing that was right for you, that fit you, that felt right, that didn't feel spammy, because it was like just sharing something with someone that is either entertaining or interesting. And yeah, you should probably put at the bottom of one of yours, hey, here's a fun project I just did. That's cool. But if they all sound like those holiday letters we get, and please, I'm sorry to anyone who sends holiday letters, but that is what you do not want your email to be. Well, hi there, we're the Thomas family, and we, this year Bobby did this and I did that, and we went on this vacation and blah blah blah. It's not about you when it's business. Okay.
Melinda, why do you hate Christmas so much? That's what I want to know.
I don't hate Christmas. I hate Christmas
Why?
letters.
Jeez, come on. I know,
I
you're
know.
right. It's like this litany of,
Right.
there's certain things that are of interest, but it's almost like, if you want to go old school, when your aunt and uncle were showing you the slideshow, it's like, cut it down. I don't need to see 500 slides. Show me your best 4 or 5 slides if you're going to
Mhm.
do that. But I'm with you. I don't want to personally hear about that stuff unless it has something to,
Unless it
yeah, it
with
offers me.
you.
Yes,
Right.
I mean, but anyway, yeah, I
Yes.
did kind of find my rhythm with it. And I will say to folks watching this, if they want to sign up by contacting you to get my emails to kind of see what I'm talking about, that's fine. We could do it through, your conduit. I think it's good for people to look at what other folks are doing, much like you would with a website. Your web
Mhm.
designer is going to say, well, show me some websites that you like. And so if
Mhm.
you, as a person that's beginning to market, if they want to look at what other people are doing, and I know that you're an Austin Kleon fan, it's like steal
Ah.
like an artist, right? So there you go. Steal like an artist, for people that don't know what that is like everybody starts out kind of copying somebody else and taking a little bit. Musicians do it, visual artists do it, and you may do it as a marketer, where you're going to say, well, geez, I kind of like what that person did there. I'm going to steal a little bit of that flavor. That's okay. I mean, what you don't want to do is like do that as your marketing plan in total, just kind of like
Right.
copying somebody else, but you're going to take it and modify it to your own personality. That's the goal.
So let me ask you this. How did you land on what you landed on? What was the process, like your thought process, or, can you think back to when you were trying to figure out what to do when I was telling you you had to do it?
Well, to
um,
me, the process is nothing but trial and error for me. I mean, I don't want for me to say that there was some exacting process of mapping everything out. It was more, the very first thing I did, I remember, was share a playlist. I had been making playlists anyway. I had not been using them as a marketing vehicle, but I was just something I dug doing. And so that was the beginning. And then other things like talking about a movie that I saw that I really dug, or around Halloween, I said, you know, here are my 3 favorite horror movies you may not have seen. I do try to, whatever I'm suggesting, whether it be music or movies or whatever, I try for it to not be something super obvious or well known, only because,
Mhm.
you know, why suggest something like, hey, have you heard of the Beatles? You know, like that to me, I'd rather bring something that people haven't heard of.
Right.
You know, or if I'm going to talk about the Beatles, it'll be some kind of like arcane trivia or whatever that's fun.
Mhm.
But it was really a process of trial and error. And I say that because I think a lot of us get caught up in, or I do, I'll put it on myself, in an instruction manual mentality of like, oh,
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, 4. Well, there is some of that. And there's certainly some of that, like you were saying, to the actual process of building the email and embedding the video, of course. But the truth is, when it comes to the content, it's probably going to be a trial and error process, and there will be errors, and there will be like, you know, gaffes or whatever. And you know what? Again, nobody cares that much. It's okay. It's okay. We're not launching the space shuttle. It's like we're sending
That's
out an
right.
email.
Exactly. And there's going to be another one either next week or in 2 weeks. So it's not like this is your masterpiece, your life's work. The point, you know,
Right, right.
is
You
they'll
almost
talk
finished the
about
Mona
content.
Lisa. Ooh, go, no, no.
Yes,
You
exactly.
bring up a very good point, which is, I read, I think it was when Jon Stewart was doing the Daily Show, there was something
Mm,
about it being a daily rush to the finish line, which was freeing for them because, of course, there were going to be things that didn't get up to that level. You know, if you're a Jon Stewart
mhm.
fan, you feel like, well, gosh, he got pretty close every day anyway. But, you
Yeah,
know, for him and for his team and the writers, of course they fell short sometimes. But you don't have time to think about that because guess what? You got to be on the next show. Today's Wednesday. You better be moving on to Thursday immediately.
right. And the point of doing this, and thank you so much. And I know you have to run probably very soon. So I'm going to say thank you. And if you want to, you know, have to log off, I get it. No hard feelings. What
Thank
I
you.
do want to, you're welcome. Thank you for sharing all of that because I found that, you know, working with you, I was really impressed with how you went through the process of really thinking about what feels right for you. The point is to show up in someone's email box and it's really just a wave hello. If that person just deletes your email, that's cool. Really, because they're like, oh, like you said, oh, it's Jonathan.
Right. Exactly.
But John, you're on the top of mind at that moment. So anyway, thank you, sir. I will turn, or you can turn off your, will you turn off your
I will.
camera? Bye. So yeah, I think that I wanted you to hear from Jonathan because sometimes we all feel like, or I shouldn't say we all, I felt like there were so many different styles. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And 1 minute I'd be like, oh yeah, no, it's definitely that. So what I want to talk to you about now is the fact that it's a newsletter, or it can be. I'm calling it that. He doesn't call it that. But some of them are more news and some of them are more of a letter format. So what you saw from Jonathan on his is really more of a like, hey grandma, you know, I just did this cool thing and I think you're gonna like it, so check it out. Or, you know, it's not about him necessarily, but it's about him engaging with you. So the the thing to remember, yes, I've got all these, here's my notes, here's my my cue cards. The thing to think about is you want these to be, when you're sending them out, 90% should be insights, edutainment. So kind of like what Jonathan's sending, could be something to educate your ideal customer, something you think they need to know about, or that is interesting that they you know, might want to check out, or just funny. So there's lots of different things that you can send. So 90% should be that, should be insights, etc. The other 10% can be promotional, but never flip that if it's within the realm of your email, your weekly, bi-weekly, monthly email. If you have a specific offer, you can mention it there, but do not create a whole, campaign and have that be the only thing people are getting. You want to provide value. That really is the number one thing. So I want to definitely talk about the fact that, some of you may have started a newsletter and then things got busy or something happened, or you felt like you didn't get any traction, then you stopped. And like I said, this is the time to restart. If you are restarting a newsletter, don't start it with, I'm so sorry I haven't contacted you sooner, or I'm so sorry I haven't been in touch. Okay, first of all, like Jonathan said, nobody is paying that close attention. So, it is not really about you. It's they're on with their lives. They're your customer. They want to hear from you, but they're not sitting by, the phone or the email going, well, why haven't they sent me anything? So they probably are not gonna, I don't know how long it's been. So when I see someone's email come in and I'll say, oh, hey, it's Jonathan. That's all it is for me. I don't go, how long has it been since he sent me something? Because I don't care. My life is over, I've got a lot of other things going on. But if you start your newsletter with, I'm so sorry I haven't been in touch. Things have been crazy, whatever. I'm going to spend the few moments of my attention on the fact that, hey, yeah, wow, has it been 18 months since you last sent me something? Really? Now I'm feeling a little like I don't mean anything to you. So don't make me think those thoughts. Don't even take me there. Just right off the bat, start off with positive and value, positivity and value. So tell them why you're reaching out to them. Hey, I've got these really cool resources I came across. I think that they would help you right now with planning your meals or whatever it is. But just start the email with what you want them to know and what you want them to do. So there's nothing for them to do if you started off with, I'm sorry. Like, okay. No. Now, if you feel so compelled that you must say something about the fact that you haven't been in touch, you can do it at the end. You can, get through the stuff that really matters to your customer. And at the end, you can say, I'm going to be in touch more often, or I'm going to be sending more of these tips to you every week. You can say, I don't know. I just wouldn't even go there, but you can allude to it. All right. Okay. So, just start where you are. And this is for anyone who has a newsletter and hasn't sent it in a while, or someone who wants to start one. Start where you are. Just start as if you never stopped talking to them. Start as if they are a good friend and you run into them and you just pick up where you left off. That's what people want. They want to feel close to you. They want it to be personal in some way. And I'm not talking about, hey, sexy man, I don't know why I said that. I would never write that to anybody. So please, people, don't do that. But the point is personal in the sense that what I care about and is whether or not you need these resources, whether I'm going to share with you my take on how you can market during the coronavirus. That's what I want. I want to help you do that. So I'm going to talk to you in a way that is like a one-on-one conversation. So that's what I mean by personal, and also the whole Doris thing. So there are a couple of different formats, as I said. So there's no news. You can focus more on news, and you can focus more on it being a letter with your insights. Either way, you still are writing for one person. And either way, you still provide value. And if you are just providing, let's say, links, and I'm going to show you a quick example of what I'm talking about. Okay. All right. So for instance, and this one, and I'm hoping you're all seeing, I am going to unmute somebody who can maybe tell me if you are seeing my, yes, there it is. Okay, so how about you, Crystal? Crystal, can you tell me,
Yes,
are you seeing marketing in times of uncertainty?
I am.
Excellent.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you. I appreciate that. Okay. So this is more of the news format, right? This is more of what you might see on in a newspaper, essentially. So they're links, but they also are still explaining why these links are in this newsletter. They're not just a list of things without any real insight into it and into why you might want to check this out. So that's the personalization. That's, you know, anyone can share this link, but your take on it is what your customers want to know. Okay. So that would be more of the news style. And we saw Jonathan's, which is also, you know, was different, more of the letter style. This is another one. So I don't want you to think that you have to have 50 links and or a video to send your email. Don't. You really don't. And it doesn't have to be fancy. It does have to be through an email service provider, but it doesn't have to be fancy. So here's an example of one that is obviously not fancy. It's not visual in any way, but you know, I look to this guy as, you know, kind of a guru who has his expertise in the, I want to say, the back end of your website. So SEO and keywords and all that stuff that I don't know that much about. He shares it in a way that is easy for me to understand. And then I share it with you. So that's just an example, though, of one that is not that elaborate. So I don't want you thinking you have to like go, you know, to a designer and do something much more elaborate. This one is another example of one that is kind of news. It's not personal in the sense that it would say, hey, Melinda, this is this. But it does, they are sending this to me because I'm interested in this. So it's definitely more of a news version, but it's not something I didn't expect to get from these people. All right, last one. This is from my guru, the person I love, Ann Handley, and hers are always very personal. So, you know, she always writes, you know, it's always on a Sunday. It's always a little bit about what's happening in her life, where she was, but it always ties into the topic she wants to share. So this one happens to be about newsletters. And she does a great job of just talking plain English for those of us who don't know all of the terms and so forth. And I just love, I mean, a stupid, obvious way for people to unsubscribe. And she's so funny. She totally loves a good pun. So, you know, the boring 20s, to whom it may confirm. So she's like the queen of that. So that would be more of a letter. It's still providing value. It's still giving me some information, but it's just in a different style. All right. All right. Let me just make sure that there isn't anything else that I had here, because I want to open it up and ask if anyone has a question. If anyone wants information, they want me to look at their email newsletter if they have one, you know, really anything you want to share or ask, this is it. This is your time. And if you don't have any questions, that's okay too. So, all right. Well, go ahead.
As I
How
mentioned,
often do
go ahead, I'm sorry.
sorry. How often do you send a newsletter out?
So I send mine, you was sending mine twice a month. And I've changed it up a little bit because I am doing these shows weekly. Now I have something that I need to tell people about or want to tell people about and have them join in if they can or see the replay. So I think it depends on your audience and what you're sharing. But you know, you could share every week. And Crystal, I know you are an artist, an amazing artist. You know, every week it could be the it could be the, you know, the piece of the week, and
Okay.
it could be a story behind that piece. Because the people who buy your art are very heart-centered. They love the story behind things. I know that on social media you get lots and lots of love when you share your newest work. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
But start. If you decide, you know, oh my God, I can't do two, that's fine. Just start with one.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Sure. Janetta.
Yes, well, first I want to apologize because I was all over Crystal. We just couldn't wait to get to you, so thank you.
Sure.
For sharing all the information about the newsletter. And Crystal, I'm loving the piece of the week, so knock that out. That's amazing. And Melinda,
Thank you.
yes, I'm going to, as I mentioned last week, I'm going to do a newsletter, and I've got a good start to it. So I might want you to take a look at it, and I'm excited about it. I think it's going to make a difference, and just that people just reaching out and just staying connected, the way people
Right.
need to be connected, not the way I want. It's not from a selling place. It's just from, and it calls from my heart to yours. That's the name of it.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. Nice. That's really nice. And it's going to be really hard for you to sell from your heart to mine. So, you know what I mean? Like, that's not a sales kind of message. So that is definitely going to help you to navigate how to frame something that is a promotion, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's another thing. You know, some people that go to one extreme, which is every single one is buy this, buy this, buy this. And I've been one of them, go to the other extreme and never ever talk about what I offer. So, you know, I'm still trying to find that right, you know, lane for me, but it should definitely have 10% promotion. So that's fine every single time you send it out. And then if you have, for instance, when you do the big kickoff and launch, you might want to, you know, then there might be a series of 4 that are only about really, you know, either subscribing or make sure you do this. They still are going to provide value, but they are much more centered on moving someone to take action.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Okay. All right, everyone. Well, this went way longer than I planned. So thank you so much for staying tuned in. As I said, it's every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern. It's filmed before a live audience. It's taped before a live audience, so you might be watching a replay, but we had some live people here. So thank you so much. And if you have any questions, anything you want me to take a look at, please reach out. All right, take care. Bye.
I